What's going on, Renaissance Lifers? Welcome back to Renaissance Life TV, where we take life to a whole new level. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and press the notification button to get alerts on when new videos are posted. Today, I'm going to share 10 tips on how to get more done in a day. Also, I'd love to hear from you. What are some tips or tricks that you use for getting more done in a day? Please share in the comment section below. Now, this week's topic came from a question that was posed to me on my personal Facebook page by one of my friends. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to share how to get more done in a day and maybe talk about some of the things that I do to get more done. Tip number 1 is what I like to call time budgeting. In the same way a typical budget tracks how much money you spend and where every penny goes, time budgeting tracks where you spend your time. So take a few minutes and actually think about where you spend your time each day. How much time you take getting ready in the morning. How much time you take commuting to and from work. How much time you spend eating, sleeping, watching TV, scrolling through Facebook. You'll be surprised to see how much time you spend on each task, and a lot of places where maybe you actually are just losing time and not doing anything in particular. When I did this, I was so surprised to see where I was spending the most of my time. And the very interesting thing was I found that I was spending a lot of time in between tasks just trying to figure out what I was going to do next. Tip number 2 is to cut out the fluff. When you find where you're spending all your time, you'll find that there is probably a lot of excess fat, if you will. Things that you can actually cut off that you didn't realize you were spending your time doing, or are just not really good uses of your time. Cutting out the fluff frees up a lot of time in your schedule. When I did this, I found that I had 1 to 3 hours of time where I could actually plug other things in that I wanted to get done. Tip number 3 to getting more done in a day is to plan. Now, I recommend writing out what your plans are for any given day. When you plan ahead of time, you'll know exactly what you want to get done. I recommend getting an old-fashioned planner if you like to write things down, or a notebook, or if you're more into technology, you can always use a notes app in your phone. Another really great tool is to use your phone calendar to keep track of things you want to get done, and also to place reminders to remind you what to do. Don't be afraid to use this even for small things like do laundry or pick up dry cleaning. Those are really great ways to keep track of what you have to do in a day and to not have to keep it all in your mind. Tip number 4 for getting more done in a day is to remove distractions. Now, this is a big one. Distractions can range anywhere from spending too much time on social media, for instance, or things in your house that take your mind off productivity. Find out what your distractions are and try as much as possible to minimize them or get rid of them altogether. Okay. Tip number 5 for how to get more done in a day is to declutter. It's so important to try to keep your space clean and free from clutter. Physical clutter has a way of translating into mental clutter, and when your mind is cluttered, it's really hard to be productive and get things done. So spend a little time clearing out the clutter in your office or in your home or wherever you try to be productive or work. You'll be surprised to see that your workflow is a lot smoother. If you had writer's block, you suddenly are able to think about what you want to write. This is a great trick for increasing productivity. Tip number 6 for how to get more done in a day is to be intentional about what you spend your time on. So what does it mean to be intentional about what you spend your time on? A lot of this has to do with prioritizing things in your life. That means asking questions like, is there something that you spend your time on that you don't enjoy and that does not contribute to your growth? It may be worth considering getting rid of that thing or to stop going to that event. Even removing good things can be beneficial if they only bring marginal results. Sometimes you're choosing between positive things that you spend your time on, but it's really important to assess what's giving you the most value, joy, and growth in your life. Time is such a precious resource, so we really can't afford to waste much of it. Tip number 7 for getting more done in a day is don't stretch yourself too thin. A lot of times we don't get a lot done because we just put too much on our plate to get done in the first place. It's so important to try to focus on one or two things at a time. So I imagine that many of you might be like me, where you might be married, or you might have kids, or you might work a full-time job where you work 8 to 5, maybe get home at 6, 7, 8 in the evening. That really leaves a limited amount of time when you consider having dinner, spending time with your loved ones, having some downtime. There's not as much time to get things done in the evening. So let's say you want to get 3 things done. You want to write a book, you want to learn how to sew, and you want to learn how to crochet. It's really easy to try to do all those 3 things at the same time and probably get none of them done, because the mind only sees several tasks that need to be done. But instead, if you can take an hour before bed each night and focus on learning how to sew and spend a month on that, then in the second month, you can focus on another task. I don't actually remember what the tasks were that I just listed. But the second out of the 2 tasks, you can spend a month on that. And on the third month, you can focus on another task. At the end of the 3 months, you would have accomplished 3 tasks, spending a month on each, as opposed to maybe trying to tackle 3 tasks at once and spend 6 months to a year just trying to get 1 done. Tip number 8 for how to get more done in a day is to wake up earlier. Now, this is one that a lot of people don't like to hear, but there was a time in my life where I really had some things I wanted to accomplish and just couldn't find the time in the day to get it done. I would try to get it done in the evening, but I was too tired and exhausted to start a brand new task after the workday. So it finally occurred to me that I should wake up even an hour earlier. And I was so amazed to have that extra time built into the day, time that was already there where I could actually get things done. And the funny thing about waking up earlier is that you tend to be more productive earlier in the day. So give it a try. Wake up 30 minutes earlier, 45 minutes earlier, an hour earlier, even 15 minutes earlier to accomplish something. Maybe you want to read more. Wake up 15 minutes earlier and read for 15 minutes each day. Okay, tip number 9 for how to get more done in a day is to work harder and smarter. So a lot of times we like this idea of don't work harder, work smarter. But in reality, if we're really honest, you have to work both harder and smarter. The people who really make it and that are really successful work really hard at what they do. Even people who seem like overnight successes work really hard, because it's hard work to manage success and to stay successful. It's hard work to be at the top of your game every single day. It's hard work to beat out your competition so that way people don't come and take your customers. Anything that you're gonna spend your time doing and focusing on takes hard work, especially if you want to be any good at it. So you do have to work harder and try to get more done. But on the other side of that equation is working smarter. An example of working smarter is to delegate things that you can delegate. That means not doing every single little task, but finding a way to get small tasks done by delegating it so you can focus on bigger things. Another way of working smarter is to automate. There are a lot of tasks in our lives and things that we spend our time doing and thinking about that can be automated through computers, through our phone, or through different services. So think about automating different processes in your life so you can spend more time on other things that you actually have to think about. Another way of working smarter is by not reinventing the wheel. Now, this is a favorite of mine. When I was in law school, one of the biggest things was not to reinvent the wheel. If someone else already had templates, you would use that as a starting point so that way you didn't have to rebuild your forms or rebuild your templates. The same thing applies in any area of your life. Somebody has likely already done what you're thinking of doing or what you're trying to do. Try to find resources. Try to learn from other people who have done it before you. Find a mentor. That doesn't mean you have to do things exactly the way that other people have done it. But when you know what they've done and when you can see what other people have already done, you can improve on it. You can go in a different direction altogether because you see what did and didn't work. but you're not spending the time making the same mistakes that other people made 10, 15, 20 years ago. This will really cut down on the time it takes you to get things done and is a great example of working smarter. Tip number 10 for how to get more done in a day is to just do it. So many times I hear the question, where do you find the time? How do you do it all? And yes, there are a lot of tips and tricks for how to get more done in a day, but a lot of times the real answer is that I don't find the time, I make the time. The reality is that we make time for things we want to do, for people we want to see, for places we want to go. If you really want to get it done, you'll just get it done. You'll find a way. This is why movies like The Pursuit of Happiness are so popular and so successful. And that's because they really illustrate the human drive and the human's ability to find a way to succeed, to find a way to overcome. So use that in your personal life. Find out what it'll take for you to get more done. Find out what is in your way and just do it. So that's all I have for 10 tips on how to get more done in your day. I hope these tips help you, and if you try any of these and have positive results, I'd love to hear about it. If you love this video, please don't forget to subscribe for more weekly videos and content like this. I'll see you next time on Renaissance Life TV.